Am I concerned about the current situation in the media in this country? I would say that I am. I'm not so much concerned about the way in which media companies are portraying events. I am more concerned about the way that so many people literally just believe everything they are told from corporations that have their own agendas, effectively. Their own reasons for saying what they are. Now, personally, I think it's not so much a political agenda. They're not trying to push voters towards a specific party so much as they are literally just trying to be as dramatic as they can in order to get attention and sell newspapers and get views on their websites and increase their potential advertising revenue as a result. It is literally a financially motivated decision to make a big deal out of every news story and to effectively try to create strong emotions in everyone who reads about that particular news story. I would also argue that what they are trying to do is to present themselves as the optimal place to get more information on this story. If you read about something in a newspaper or on a website or wherever, and they give you a particular opinion, which is somewhat biased, as pretty much all opinions are going to be, you would then go back to that same place to get the same information as the story progresses and develops, rather than going somewhere which has a different opinion on it. If a newspaper can present itself as the best source of information on something by suggesting that opposing companies, opposing sources of news are presenting a different version of the facts, effectively, then they would effectively mobilise the population into always going to that same source. They would get a regular recurring readership of people who are basically just paying them lots of money week after week to hear their particular biased version of the news. Now, I would not argue that newspapers, media corporations should not be allowed to present their opinions. The issue is more the fact that there are very few sources of competing opinions from the other side, or from multiple other sides, as the case may be. Virtually all information that is presented to people in this country through print newspapers, television, radio, the internet, wherever, is either slightly or significantly leaning towards one particular side on the issue. And that in itself is the problem. Of course, going back to the point I was making earlier, effectively what you would have is the media outlets that make this sensationalised dramatic opinion of events would be the ones that would be more successful, as it were. The ones that could get more people interested, the ones that make the news exciting, the ones that get people coming back over and over again. It isn't so much that people want to hear this stuff, it's that it's just more interesting. If you had a news outlet that presented a clear, unbiased, systematic view of the facts, it would just not be interesting. You wouldn't want to read it, or look at it, or watch it, or listen, or whatever. And they would just not get the same popular appeal. And that is obviously a bit of a problem in this country and around the world. It's something that really we're going to have to find a way to work around. If there were a major news corporation that was presenting an opposing view of various facts and opinions, there's a good chance that they would just not be as successful, and they would not get the mass appeal across the country that current major news corporations have. As it is, obviously people are turning a lot more towards the internet for sources of information, and that is bringing about gradually, slowly, a change in the way in which we process information. this may be some part of the reason why younger voters tend to sway towards completely different political opinions to older voters, who would be more reliant upon the newspapers and their particular biased coverage, as opposed to the biased coverage you get on the internet. You don't get unbiased news. Then again, would you want unbiased news coverage? What would it present? You can look at both sides of the facts, or you can just say, this is the information that we have, figure it out for yourself, and people aren't going to want to do that either. If I weren't running a political party, I might try setting up my own newspaper or news website or some such. I don't imagine it would go particularly well, for all the reasons I've already covered.